Even though Starfield has only been out for 2 weeks, the any percent category is already under an hour, which means there are some insane strats. So today, we'll be speedrunning through it, so let's get started. Starting out the run, we meet Hardass Lynn and Heller McChuckles. The intro is just a big boring cave of miners. I'm not a huge fan since I'm not Jeffrey Epstein. The main speed strat here is to wait until Lynn starts yelling at another NPC. Then we can go ahead, grab the cutter, and mine the resources. After we come back, Lynn will praise us for working ahead. Next up, we just need to spam talk on Heller because that'll make the next path open up a tad quicker. We head on through, grab the artifact, and then just pass out. Here we get to select our character. The only thing that we need is Soldier for damage and boosting, as well as Introvert and Terra Firma for more sprinting. When we wake up, we need to go into the room next door and steal a backpack. We just need to grab it from the little gap between the door. After that, we equip the backpack and the helmet and head on out to talk to Barrett, but not before taking his medical supplies. But oh no! We're attacked by some bad guys. Luckily, they all arrive on a ship in a big group, so we just need to throw in this canister, light it up, and kill everyone. After that, we just need to find someone who has an axe, loot that, and then go back to talk to Barrett. One incredibly important thing to note that saves a ton of time is we need to bound jump to the Alt key. When you boost with the Alt key instead of the spacebar, you go much faster and farther with the boost. Not sure why, but it makes boosting much more satisfying. But after talking to Barrett, he tells us to go to Constellation in his ship, which leads to the ship fight tutorial, which is basically just the same as Casually. But the next part is one of my favorite skips, because it's so simple. We head on over to Krieg where the pirate base is, but instead of going through the door, we head straight to the roof where the final boss is. Blow up the canister behind him and finish him off. This completes the entire quest, and now we can just fast travel to our ship and head to New Atlantis. Here we get to use a great trick to get ourselves all the resources we'll need for the run. When we're in third person and holding a melee weapon, if we jump and then block, our character will move so fast forward that it's basically a teleport. We can use that to make general traveling faster, but here we can teleport right into the wall and actually get through it and out of bounds. We head over to the port where there's a chest with 72,000 credits, then head on over to this shop where there's another chest with a few things we'll want. First, the pistol. Then we need the med packs just in case, as well as a few resources: argon, membrane, metabolic agent, tetrafluorides, and toxin. These resources are optional, but are a good thing to pick up when learning the run. After getting all the resources, we go to Constellation, and we get to use a few tricks to skip the dialogue. First up, after talking to Sarah, we wait until Walter starts to talk. The moment he does, we exit. Once the quest updates, we re-enter and insert the artifact. After that, we immediately exit and jump 3 times. This is a good way to time out how long you have to wait before going back in. After the 3 jumps, we go back in, and this skips all the dialogue, which saves a ton of time and headache for speedrunners. After talking to Sarah 1 time and not 2 times so we avoid soft locking, we're going to resource up. Here we research into amps and make as many amps and injectors as we can to help with the run. Next, we head on over to the locked mannequin with armor. Go ahead and grab it through the slight gap of the door, and then equip it. Much better gear than our starting gear. Finally, we're going to need a new spaceship. We fast travel to the spaceport and then buy the big boy. Then we equip him with even more fuel tanks to make him the biggest boy. And then we also get the skill that increases our grab jump distance by 15%. But why would we need a new spaceship? Well, Starfield has this really cool mechanic where if you don't have a lot of fuel, you have to grab jump to a closer system, watch a load screen, grab jump to another system, watch an animation, then watch a load screen, then watch another animation, and so on and so forth to get somewhere. Unfortunately, sometimes speedruns skip the coolest parts of games. This allows us to travel much quicker and greater distances. And the place we need to travel now is Hyla. And coming up here is the most insane strat that requires perfect pinpoint accuracy. On Hyla 2, we need to find the little swooping cloud and then zoom in as far as we can go. We'll see this little bunny ear formation as well as a W next to it. We need to put our cursor exactly like this, where the top left, a tiny amount of the ear of the bunny is coming in, but the W is mostly centered, and then land on the planet and pray that you got the right pixels. If we land even the tiniest distance off, this will not work. But by landing in this exact spot of a much later quest, the game thinks we are on that quest and spawns in this puzzle thing. We head on over to the puzzle thing, and now we're on the quest Unity, and it's time to meet the emissary and the hunter. It's kind of hilarious since we skipped all the quests. The emissary just ends up being this guy, being all dramatic like we know him. But after talking to them, we can now go do the last few artifacts we'll need. First up, we get an RNG spawn of our first artifact. We get a pretty good one this time. It's not crazy fast, not the worst. It'll be different for each run, but we pick it out of the cave and fast travel out easily. Next up, we have the crazy 2 dimensions quest, where we will be doing the hardest skip in the game. After entering the lab, we just go through normally until we meet this guy in the bad dimension. Talking to him spawns us to the good dimension again, and then we go to the bad dimension one more time in the following hallway. Here we need to clear out the enemies before doing the most ridiculous trick in this run that saves so much time. There is a trick currently called zipping that is similar to the New Atlantis zip, but much harder. When we we teleport forward with the axe, we don't actually teleport. Instead, we accelerate very quickly until we're going about 200 times our normal speed. This strat here is if we can quick save on the exact frame where we're going that fast, we will be able to go so fast that we go through the wall for a single frame. But the quick save isn't instant, so we need to save slightly before. Also, we need the perfect angle and we need to be the perfect distance away from the wall, making this crazy difficult. Every day, new setups are being discovered to make this trick more consistent, but we managed to get this first one. We load the quick save, which is saved through the wall, and now we need to boost back over to the light. Right below, we will drop into the elevator that is much later in the mission. We take the elevator, and then, oh yeah, another perfectly timed, perfectly aimed, and perfectly spaced zip. Here, some people go through this wall, but I found it slightly easier to go through the elevator. After a few tries, we make it through, and now we can boost back over to the final section of this quest. A little tricky to know where you're going, but there's a wide margin, so you'll probably hit it even if you're a little bit off. Here, we need to press 7 buttons and then shut down the lasers, all while being attacked. It's not too difficult, and we shut down the lasers, killing everyone in the research station in order to save this one guy. This quest is the true trolley problem. Would you rather save a research station full of strangers with families or one stranger? So we choose one stranger since it's faster, and honestly, this gets me thinking about all the subtle social commentary in this game. For example, Starfield really puts a light on materialism. This citizen's friend was shot dead by a random hidden sniper, and what does she have to say about it?
It's dizzying keeping up with my friend's new looks.
And here, there are several dead bodies, and what's the police have to say?
What? Everything good? We're here to help. Kill for a cup of coffee right about now.
Hard-hitting stuff. But getting back to the run, we need to go to the moon. We start the radio transmission and then immediately fast travel to the NASA research facility on Earth. It's a decent trek, but once we make it to the station, we need to climb through the sides like normal. Go around until we find the elevator. Across from the elevator is a door with a battery in it. Put the battery in the hole and take the elevator. Now, another ridiculously precise zip. Once again, this setup is tricky here and we're struggling a lot, but luckily there's another setup to try. So we head on over through the door, up on top. This place sets up the distance a little more consistently. But once we finally get the skip to work, we just fall into nothingness. This isn't good. But luckily, we have a quick save, and this time we just need to open photo mode immediately. This gives us control of our character right when we exit, and we can boost back over to safety. Here is one of my favorite parts of this run. I seriously love traversing out of bounds. It looks so cool and feels good just flying over the quest design. We can only land on certain ceilings and we need to manage our boost fuel so we don't fall in too early. But next, we need to jump over this building and fall a long way down, which is super satisfying. But then we make it to the end where we want to fly back in. Here we are at the very end of the quest where all we need to do is find info on the computer, press the button, and then travel to the artifact that is open now. Once we touch the artifact, a bunch of starborn will start attacking us, but we just need to get one more zip. For whatever reason, if you fall out of bounds in Starfield, you just go to the beginning of the map rather than falling forever. This is convenient because once we get this zip, we fall right to the beginning of the map, which is our exit. Now we can take the elevator back up and boost back over to the hunter and emissary. Here we want to stay the hunter's right and take him as our companion for the final mission. I've seen debate on this, but we'll see what he does later that I think makes up for all the problems he can cause. Now that we have the hunter, it's time to start the final mission of the game, which will have a few skips along the way. But first, we have to get through a painful fight. We need to fight level 30 ships with this big ass beef boy tank spaceship that does like 0 damage. Even on very easy, this can take a long time, but we managed to get the enemies down and can now land on the ground with the hunter. We make our way normally until we spawn in the first major fight. This fight has so many level 30 starborn to kill and they teleport all the time, making it incredibly slow. Luckily, we can just run past. We head on through and make it to the second fight location. The fight doesn't start because yeah, you can't just walk past the first fight, but we can zip through the locked door. So we head to the platform over the locked door and need to zip through it. This one was rough for me. I'm talking about so many attempts to get it. I was losing my mind, and honestly at one point, I just stopped to take a break and subscribe to a small YouTuber. He doesn't have a lot of subscribers and is probably really happy anytime anyone subscribes. But now, with a clear head and the hunter cheering us on from the sidelines, we zip through perfectly. While out of bounds, we need to get to this little edge, crouch down, and open the door. This gets us back into the map, but past the locked door. Now for this next section, we have the hardest zip of the run. Maybe I was feeling confident after the last one, but this one is crazy. The angle isn't clear, the footing isn't clear, and on top of that, we still need to get the perfectly timed pause for quick save. In addition, this is where the hunter is super annoying to have. He will just get in our way constantly. Every time we go into the wall, he wants to check it out, meaning we need to corral him away before half our attempts. But after getting through a couple mental breakdowns, we managed to get the zip. Now we get the super satisfying out of bounds section where we can just skip through the next couple difficult fights and dialogue. Then we run along this ceiling where a big fight would have been, fly over to another ceiling, run along that while enjoying the out of bounds scenery, and next head towards the final room at the end, and then just slide into the final section and go down the elevator. As we're going down, we get an anomaly, just immediately exit, and now we need to prepare for the final fight. All we need to loot is the Neuroamp supply crate. The most important thing is Frostwolf. 40% damage and 50% movement speed for 2 minutes. We head into the boss room and search for the boss. She spawns randomly and hides, but if you spot her, the blue marker will appear. Eventually, we do spot her and start unloading the sidearm into her. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but the hunter decides to hard carry. He shoots her with some crazy Starborn power, and her health just starts draining so much that she's crazy low health when we find her the second time and can just finish her off with a couple shots. Now we're really doing it. We just need to convince the emissary not to fight us. Then we use the consumable called Hippolyta. Quick save and then talk to the emissary. Try to convince him, and on our second attempt, critical success. He decides that we can have the artifact. So we grab it, and now we just have a couple more steps in speedrun strats. First off, we want to grab jump to the nearest system so we can avoid the takeoff animation. Then we get out of our seat, build the armillary, use an amp, and then activate the grab drive. Using the amp actually increases our speed for the slow walk to the Unity, which ends our time in one of the most broken speedruns just 2 weeks after it was released. We can only imagine how much it's going to change in the next year.